Oh, here we go. It's really nice to speak to you. We'll just drift into the conversation off.
Sure, sure.
We won't start straight away, but we'll drift. And when the moment comes, we'll sort of go a bit more formal, a bit more radio at that point. But yeah. So we're going to talk about Nepalese experimental music. So how do you think we should?
Not sure. Yeah. Do you want me to start or?
Yeah, actually, why not just start and we'll just
Yeah.
go. I can always do a little preamble and stuff as well.
Yeah, sure. I think
orientate people, into it. So cool.
okay, so it's just like it's the first show I'm doing on the radio. I think so. It's just quite cool and a bit nervous as well. So
Yeah. Roshan Gurung, that's how I say your name. Is that right?
yes, that's Roshan.
Roshan Gurung.
Yeah.
Does it mean anything? I mean,
yeah, the first name I think it has a meaning. It means bright. Shan is because we our language and like Indian language is kind of comes from the same origin. So like there are lots of like I think when I talk with a Indian somebody from India, there's a famous actor. So his name is something Roshan, and like they instantly Roshan.
yeah. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. With the experimental music in Nepal, especially like it's kind of like just to just to let you know it's kind of non-existent. It's not doesn't exist yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the air yet. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the
Will be, won't it? It's coming.
yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, it's coming probably. So far, like where it has reached is like it has reached I think around to 2000 they were like big influence like of like punk rock only around 2000. If you see the dates, it's like I don't know how many, maybe 30 years after. And bit of metal, and nowadays I see like a bit of indie as well coming, indie, and that's till that's there where how I see it. Haven't gone past that, and nowadays I see like some of them getting into sound art kind of thing, and from that direction they are getting the other side of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like cough. Yeah. So, but you are in London in the UK and you've been studying at Goldsmiths, so you're completely immersed in the sort of London vibe of
Yes.
experimentalism you're used to
Yes.
seeing and making.
Yes, I am actually. Yeah. Actually, I'm finished. I finished Goldsmiths 2019. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So let's start with your practice, shall we? Because we're talking about
Yes, you.
and you're a practitioner yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So my practice with the experimental or with the folk? What would you?
Let's talk a bit about experimental first, and then let's talk more about folk later. I'd love to hear more about your own practice, where it's come from and what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay, like I think with the experimental thing, I think it starts back. I think it started back in Nepal. So like I think especially with doing like DIY jams, like and like and there are people like who are like not into experimental but more into like DIY kind of music. Like there are a couple of them. So we used to jam, like go and jam, just random jams. So we didn't know what that was at that time, and now if I recall, it was a free improv. That was what we were doing. So I think there was a particular like there's a band like called Raiko Ris. So it's a punk band. So it's and the band members are slightly senior, slightly elder than us. And like when I went there, I think that and they had a house and anyone could come and jam. So it was really nice. I would go there, just hang out, and they had lots of like her husband was from France. So the singer was from Nepal and her husband was from France and he had loads of stuff and I would just go there, just hang out and I think that was the first time I saw like a video of Sonic Youth. Like he had actually had the video VHS tapes and I watched like Talking Heads. And it was so cool. Like it was so cool. I think that and when I see it now, I think that was the starting point, I think. And after like I got into a bit into jazz and because of jazz, because I wanted to study jazz. In Nepal, we don't have music colleges yet, so there are no music colleges. And I came to England 2008, Leeds College of Music. So I studied jazz like undergrad 3 years, and there like because I like more like I never liked Coltrane. I never liked bebop. But I was more into Ornette Coleman and like Charlie Haden, bit of Miles. Yes, like that's what I liked. And on the second year, we got more into like the the course was more like set in such a way that second year there was a like a course where you could go and see like I don't know what the module was like. It was like early 20th century music. One was that, and one was the experimental thing. And once I got that, like I forgot about the jazz. I just got into that.
You can't do everything. You have to follow your nose as well. So that really tickled you. So that was your path. Oh, freezing. Oh, what a shame. Come on. Come on, go for it.
Yeah. So that was the introduction of experimental side, like more like avant-garde stuff, classical stuff, and free jazz as well. So after that, just it was no turning back. Just got into like heavily into that. Finished my third year, came to London, and straight away like coming to London, Cafe Auto.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
where I went. Yeah, yeah.
Mecca or a kind of meeting place for like-minded people.
Yes, yes, that's where I went, and after that, I got to know about Eddie, and I started going to Eddie's place.
Eddie,
Yeah,
who's that? I don't know.
Eddie Provo, Eddie
Oh,
Provo,
yes, yes, yes.
AMMS, and
So
that was it.
instrument, do you have a particular instrument practice?
Uh, yes, I'm a bass player. I play bass. But nowadays it's difficult to say I'm a bass player because I hardly play bass. Even if I play bass, I just play I don't know some weird stuff like or some melodies, and not like a typical bass.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of conventions about bass playing that might not fit into when you're trying to stretch convention and play in different ways.
Yes.
Yeah, because bass has it. There's lots of expectations of the bass's role in a group, and
Yeah, there's a
lots
tradition.
of pinning down of the rhythm is like
Yeah.
drums and bass is the main sort of group convention that we're more familiar with, I guess.
Yes, yes, yes. And with the bass player, like I never listened to any bass player because it was not interesting. But
Ah,
later, yeah,
Roshan, off the show, I'll have to introduce you to my husband who's run away, but he's a
yeah,
bass player. He's a really good bass player and very
yeah,
interesting. So you two, I'm going to introduce you off air if I can
yes,
get.
yeah.
He's a bit shy, like a lot of bass players.
Yes, yes, like it's typical. I met him in your show like once.
Oh yeah, but he is kind of sometimes he just disappears, like, whoosh, you know. Yeah. But I think you might come together if you talked about bass or got to know each other on that level.
Yes.
Yeah, because he also is an unconventional bass player.
Okay, good to
Likes
know.
the bass very much, but he likes to keep little secret as well. You know, he's not like a showy bass player, but he really believes in what the bass can do, picking
Yeah.
up on different notes and stuff. So it's quite interesting. Anyway,
Yes, it is.
okay. Let's talk about the I seem to have interrupted and made a bit of a hash of this
Yeah,
beginning.
with the experiment. Okay, yeah. We reached
Anyway,
till London.
let us tell me about what you're doing now with experimental music, where your interests are right now.
Uh, yeah, with the experimental music, I think it's been like a year or two. I have stopped, kind of stopped, because it's difficult to do so many things. So where I have stopped is like what I was doing was, like I mentioned, like in Leeds, I was introduced to like 20th century like stuff, and especially Stravinsky and those guys.
Yeah, lots.
And yeah, and I found that really interesting. And just taking like a small fraction of your folk melody, and you could build a big piece out of that, and it was so amazing just to know, wow, you could actually do that. So where I was heading was, I was trying to use last time when before I stopped the experimentals thing for some time. I was trying to uh yeah, with Irish, like C was my what do you call,
Yeah, Dr. Iris Garelfs.
yeah, she was supervising me. And what I was trying with the improv thing, I was trying to build my own language, improv language. So one thing I have is like I don't have a good memory. So so for me, even when I was doing jazz, like it's difficult to learn those lines. I particularly like do not find it interesting as well, like those beboppy lines. So what I was doing was because they don't mean much to me, like they are not coming out of my life or whatever I am in. So I thought, like, if I could find something that's coming out of my life, like I could remember it. So I was doing like a videoing, like like putting a camera of my computer uses, and like where I was going, and later on just trying to see where I was, like, and trying to pick things and trying to make a language out of it. That was the last thing I was doing.
That's a
Uh,
very good practice for everybody to consider. And I think you absolutely are right. You can't remember. I don't think it's that you have a bad memory. It's the thing that something doesn't quite
Not interesting
tell.
enough.
Yeah, your brain won't remember it because I can feel my brain blocking stuff out. You know, it
Yeah,
will do it on purpose. If say like with cars, I actually quite like cars now, but in
yeah,
a different way. But I used to be so uninterested in them. Like I don't know. The other day, Matt was talking something about a car, and I just felt my brain did it. It just
yeah,
pulled down a block, and then I didn't hear that bit of the conversation afterwards. It's
yeah,
like, wow, it just did that automatically. I really felt it come in. So,
yeah,
you know, if you're not connecting, then you have to
yes,
connect somehow, yeah, or it
yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
yes. Like it's like you should be playing the music that comes in your ears, rather than like somebody telling you, like, this is this is that. It doesn't
Yes,
work that way.
no, music isn't like that. Not music as a thing to really play, and maybe as an idea or so, but yeah, for me, music is
Yeah,
not like that. It's in
because the guys like you, Charlie Parker and those guys, literally they played what they were hearing, not somebody else was hearing. That's how I saw it. So yeah, so I was going for that. And also, like, what was I going on? Also, I was trying to use, like, like Nepalese folk melodies. You hear it, like, especially in London, like especially like free improv, like people using jazz lines, like just normal jazz lines, and like like breaking it up and making it slightly weird sounding, like with like, I don't know, with which different textures. I was trying that as well, like that were as well as like like the DJ thing, you know, cotton splice kind of thing, but like with the melodies, like folk melodies, and trying to use it like rather with a rather than with a, what do you call, like a DJ machine, like just doing it like with the instrument. I was trying that.
And where were you
Uh,
getting the folk melodies from? Let's actually talk a bit about that, the folk melodies. I'm very interested in folk music and its relationship to other musics. So I'd like to know more about the folk melodies and where are they like in general currency? Are people singing them around, or did you go to a particular source?
okay, so with the folk melody, like most of them are like from memory. Like, yeah, you've heard it like from a child. As growing up, there are a couple of them, and some of them now, like since I'm here, like I have to YouTube it and just check, and like, oh, they are doing that, you know. So that's how I go for it. And with the thing about learning it, I think I still haven't, like, because I grew up in like in the capital, so it was difficult to go in the village, and especially that's where it's happening, the main ones. We have the commercial version as well, which happens in the city, but which I particularly do not like much. So maybe like in the future, if I get chance, I'll just go there, you know, just, although it's a simple thing, I think when I just use the melody, I miss the cultural aspect of it, just being there with the people. I think I miss that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot to folk music apart from the melodies. Um, but I do think it's very interesting because if you repeatedly are exposed to a folk culture of song or music, it really influences your sensibility, how you feel music. And
Yes.
it's always worth, even I think as an adult, to um, you'll never get that childhood connection, but your brain's still open, you're still here. Go and immerse yourself in a folk music, even if it's just via YouTube, because YouTube is it, and our current internet culture is a real gift to get a real closeness to something you might not have even had growing up, even if you're from a particular country. Like you say, you might live in the capital, you might not have a closeness to your family, might not be folk musicians, so you might not really even hear it until later on. But YouTube can get you very close now because all sorts of
Yes.
people are making videos to give you an insight into their making. Can you tell me about a little bit, because I'm so curious about Nepalese folk music, what purposes the folk music might be for? Is it, you know, you get things like dance and community singing, sometimes it's rituals in the year. Do you get the religious rituals, or is it more secular? Does it mark things like births and deaths, or is it, but yeah, what kind of things have you come across?
I think we have so many ethnic, more than saying so many, like it's a diversity. There's so many ethnic groups, and they have different ones. They have different things they do. As a kid growing up, I've seen like some ethnic groups. They do like birth, death. They have particular ones. And there's one particular community, like ethnic tribe, like they have really developed, like I would say really developed music thing. I think it developed around 1300, their music, and was greatly like inspired, like, or not inspired, but like it was really close to like Indian, like, you know, they would use the ragas, everything, because since being really close to India is like a big influence anyways. And the sad thing is, like, it's a good thing, like everything is there for them, but like sad thing is like it developed around 1300, and after that it now, if I go and, you know, try to say it, like, is it that is as it is, like nobody added nothing after that, you know. It's just that
Yeah, I
And
do think with folk music, we should have a double kind of approach to it. It's nice to preserve what you can and to research what you can and to sort of keep that going forward, but also to have a space for people to do whatever they want with it in the current times. So
yes,
you've got this double thing happening, I think is
yeah,
perfect way approach to these traditions. Because if you didn't change things, you'd never, for example, change the role of women because that always gets so codified in social constructs, and women would never be able to get to sing anything, for example, because often they are there's lots of public performance that tends to be male in many
okay,
cultures traditions, not always, it's just an example, but nowadays we like to say women can have a chance to try on
yes,
roles that in the past they might not have had
oh yeah,
excluded.
totally, totally.
Yeah, so we want to change things as well as
Yeah. So when we talk about this ethnic groups, like there's one group like if you like if you see my name is Roshan Gurung, right? So my surname that's the ethnic group. So our ethnic group, they have like the system like where like here like we have pubs, right?
yeah.
Pubs where you meet after work, and I think like we have a like we had a system, or we still have a system like in the rural areas where like after work or like working in the field whole day, you meet up in somebody's place or like a social house gathering, and that's called Rodikar. Rodikar.
Rudica.
Rodikar. Rodi.
Good.
Yeah. So they meet up, and we have this system where it's a bit like like when you rap, like it's like so it's like improvisation, like following like certain like verse, like certain kind of what do you call like poetry kind of thing. Like there's a meter, and like so you follow that and you put meanings over that. So we have a system like it's called dohori.
Sorry.
So yeah, on that one it's usually like it's a usually a male group and a female group, right? So and somebody starts, it's just like talking, but like putting it in what do you call, like in a verse, like melodic verse. We also call it couplets. So like I'm saying, okay, this, okay, I like usually it's between like a male and female, so it's usually more like flirting and like just having good time.
Mm.
So I say something like from a male group, and like in a like in a couplet, and that goes to the female group and they have to reply. So they improvise something. Okay, suppose like they would say, okay, yeah, I like your hat, I like your gog, but you're too old for me, and like they would put it in the verse and just throw it back to the guys. And
Yeah, we
now
don't
it's the
like you because you better watch your tongue or
yeah,
the
yeah,
devil's gonna come and eat you or something.
yes, yes, and they're just having good time, like so that's one of them, and like it's equal, like ladies, like female and the male are equal on that one.
Banter, like banter in song, we call it. Yeah,
Yes, yes, and
lovely.
just having good time, like
We should have that. We should bring that back. We should do one. Yeah, I think that's an excellent tradition because yeah, you can see it working in so many other contexts. I have a friend who does folk song from northeast India. I think it's Mithila.
yeah,
Anyway, she and she talks a lot about this kind of bantering song too in her culture. And she says it happens a lot in weddings. They have a tradition where when they have a wedding, you get the
yeah,
two sides of the family coming together. You've got the males or the groom's family coming to meet the bride's family,
yeah.
and then you use this as well a lot for people to get to know each other, this kind of type of song exchange.
Yes, yes, yeah, it's a cool system. And actually, like that system has gone rare on the commercial level as well. It's really huge, like because most of the music, like it's especially coming from the West, is more usually on the urban side, urban areas. but those ones are all over the country. Like it's really massive. Those ones and like film songs, they are massive.
Yeah. So tell me a bit about the language that the songs are in. Is there lots of different languages, or is it more
Yes.
sort of dialects in Nepal? Lots of different, I guess,
Yeah, like
languages, I suppose you'd call it. Mm.
yes, like I mentioned, like the ethnic groups, like all the most of the ethnic groups are the ones I know, they have their own language. So my ethnic group, we have own language. So so we have songs in our own language as well, but like mostly I think it's more in Nepalese because you don't want to do like isolated ethnics and like and in the end like people won't understand and it's all about like in the end you want people listening and
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah. So again, you need both. You
Yes.
need both traditional or the particular tribal language and the
Yeah.
language people understand more. Um, yeah. So in tell me a bit more about the Gurung um people's language or music, like the one that you're familiar with from your
Oh,
family.
yeah, for me, like since growing up in urban, like urban, like in the city, like I have not myself been in that situation where you go and like in a village, but the thing is that that tradition, even in London, like it's carried on. So they are not musicians, but they know how to have good time. Like and they do those things, but in their own way, not in a professional way, but like they just do it, still continue it here. And that's the only like experience I have with with those things I mentioned.
So is there a
But
community in a particular community in London? Is it just
yes,
people being friends around it, or is there like a centre where people might go?
those things, the one I mentioned earlier, that can be done in your own house.
Mm.
So there can be like your guests, your your other what you call like family members would be there, and you can just do it there. So it's more like a musicking kind of thing. Like anyone can join. Like you say things, and there's a verse, like big shout thing. Everyone joins, even if you don't know, like you can join in. So like everybody's involved. Like it's a musicking thing. That's the one I mentioned. Like the other ones, like we have rituals, things as well. Like when, especially performed in, these ones are more like I heard about it and I read about it rather than I saw it. So they have these things while people die, they perform certain like rituals, like they have like gatu nuts or something. So
Katu nuts.
gatu nuts, yes.
What's that?
It's a dance. Kind of more the way I say it, like or well, the clips I've seen it and heard about it. It's really like a devotional kind of song. It has a like a history behind it. So I read like a short history, but I'm really not like really not don't know much in depth.
This is how we mostly find out about things these days. Like I'm saying, you have to sort of use modern tools to get close to things because we don't live in these communities anymore. But just an
Yeah,
interest from someone like yourself who's got an understanding and an open mind and your own, obviously, background connection in
yeah,
who you are, that's what we have, isn't it? We use books and we use films to communicate these days. It's part of our communication tools, so that's fine, isn't it? So the gatu nuts. So tell me,
yeah, yeah. The ones I read is like the story behind that is like there was a king and a queen, and they had a child, something, and the king died, and and the queen had to go sati. So that's a new term.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the terrible, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you know about the term. It's good.
Yeah, for everybody. That's when the queen has to, or the wife has to,
Die.
burn themselves on
Burn.
the
Yes.
fire of the husband when they're
Yeah.
husband.
And the dance is kind of something related with that. So
Isn't it? Isn't it?
yeah,
So yeah, such a strange thing to think about. My gosh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And people like get into like go into a trance mode. Like that's what I heard. Like when doing that dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, yes, I would think so. Because with the sort of ritual like that, you would think you would have to go into a trance. And that's something music does, isn't it? Rhythms and things. Is there that I guess the rhythm is really part of that.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything about the rhythm that to say that's about the types of rhythm? Is it?
Especially that the cartoon thing, like I what I've seen and I've noticed people doing is like it's a really drony kind of stuff. It keeps on going on, like, and probably that's one of the reason I'm thinking, it doesn't have much rhythm. Rhythms are really simple, but it's just the drone keeps on going.
So it gets a sort of natural, sort of wave-like rhythm
Yes, yes.
on the voice.
Yes, and it's not just one voice, and there are so many voices, like people sing together, and like when people sing together, it's like one starts here and one is not ready, and they start afterwards, and someone is not ready, someone starts after that, and they are in a different voice, the range, textures, and that's what creates the like interesting factors.
Yeah, that's yeah, I can think of doing some music in experimental settings that's had that kind of form as well, of using the natural voice a little bit and staggered, as opposed to, I guess, organized, composed music, but in the way of everybody's got a very rigid point to come in, but using
Yeah.
that sort of natural flow of time.
I think I found that in one of Cornelius Cardius pieces, like Great Learning. It had that, and when I heard that, whoa, that's so familiar.
And what other instruments are there in the Nepalese traditions that we can talk about? Are bells and
Yeah, percussions.
so is there anything particularly about being in a mountainous region, or is it more plateau, so that doesn't come into it? Some mountain regions have particular instrumentation because you're calling across a mountain, for instance, to greet another people or another person, or your animals sometimes that are on another part of a pasture. Anyway, just thinking about the music, let's talk about, do you have bells and
Okay, when you mention like near the plateau, near the mountains, I think there's one instrument in particular I that comes in mind. It's like a tung. It's called tungna. So it's more like a lute.
ah,
Probably you've seen it like probably you've seen it like Tibetans. They have this guitar-like thing that they use. Have you seen it?
yes, I have actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's the same one. Like I would not say the same, but like it's similar. And in Nepal, the especially who live close to the mountain regions, we have that instrument. So that's coming from like more Tibet and China kind of region, and it's called tungna. So that's one of the instruments.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have horns it's like a frequently encountered folk instrument, like a horn that from the animals? Do you have a kind of herding type of instruments from
Uh,
to the
Not like I haven't seen it like an instrument like you playing in songs like or like like the commercial songs and like they might like we have like some kind of like a brass instrument, like a long like horn, like not horn, what do you call it? I don't know. It's an instrument. We call it like a panche baza or something.
Go through. Is
Yeah.
it?
It's a
But
long like so it's a long, what do you call it? Not sure how to explain, but
like a trumpet or a trombone, maybe. We'll have to find some examples to
yes, with the pictures, yes.
look in YouTube. You have to send me some links to a few,
Okay.
and I'll have a look as well. We'll just see what we can find. We'll just go on an adventure.
Yeah, that one we have that. So like basically it's like a mixture of like like musically like, because we are in middle of India and China. So on the north is China, on the south is India. So you can find the both of the influences like I mentioned, like when you go up near Tibet kind of area, you have that instrument, and it's so like so definite, like it's coming from Tibet and that kind of region. And if you go south, like we have like like Indians, they have India, they have like trumpet, like Bismillah Khan. Those guys like they have their own Indian trumpet. So
Yeah,
we have that as well. When you
I really
mentioned,
like that
yeah,
trumpet sound.
yeah.
I must admit, I've got a huge interest in Hindustani singing that came from Bollywood and the
Wow.
kind of Burman and
Yeah.
yeah.
But the
Right.
most dominant is bamboo flute.
Is what?
Bamboo flute.
Dembo.
Bamboo flute.
Oh,
Bamboo.
we'll have to play that. Dembo.
Bamboo. Bamboo. Like bamboo, like what do you call it? Bambo, bamboo,
Yeah,
Bambo.
yeah, Bembo flute. And it,
Yes.
uh, uh, what kind of flute is that? Is that a double flute, single flute?
That's the flute you see in Indian classical music. You see that flute, like that's the one we use,
Yeah,
because I think I can see it straightly coming from that kind of influence.
yeah. It's very mellifluous, isn't it? Kind of
Yes.
people play quite intricate, ornamentated lines on it, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, that's a real classical music, isn't it? And that, unlike the folk traditions, some of them we've been talking about, this is like real high culture. It can be because Hindustani music, a lot of it has, well,
yeah.
it's got this tradition that's come from the courts and the very
Yes.
specialized music that's been played and written for kings.
Sorry.
Play specialized music that's been played and written for kings in courtly.
Yes. It's good, like you mentioned that. Yes, yes, it was actually. Even like I think let me see. 1846, 1951, like we had till 1951, we had some like Rana rulers, and they tried to bring that from India, tried to bring ragas and everything, and they actually like brought like musicians from India and try to like make the Nepalese like instrument people learn it. And actually they did quite good. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they tried to do that. And the thing is like it was not that popular because obviously it's too deep.
It's
So
it's too difficult for most people and their music playing, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
doing grade 8 piano or something.
yes.
Like, yeah, come on. Like, when
And
want to play a few pop tunes.
yes, and that didn't go popular. And what happened is like, like ghazals,
Yeah,
ghazal? Yeah.
yeah, yes, we're gonna have to reboot. Let's reboot because it's coming to an end. I'm gonna send you a
Okay.
link because I've
Yes, yeah.
got the professional Zoom thing. I
Yeah,
know
no problem.
pick out. So yeah, let's talk about ghazals and those traditions. So how
Yes, yeah.
yeah. As I say that it seems like 100 hours, but it's going to go any second. Believe me. This it says less than 1 minute.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna yeah.
Less than